Hey, thanks for clicking on the video. Today we're taking a look at a build that uses one of the newer game-changing armor set bonuses that gives Strand hunters a build that is reminiscent of the good old days. I'm talking original Warmind style stuff. So if you were a veteran player looking for a similar build, I might have found it for you. And if you're someone who's not familiar with the old Warmind cell meta, then this will still be fun and novel for you too. And I found it usable even in in-game content. But now before we dive too deep into the video, I do want to point out that there is a dim link down in the description, and there are also timestamps that way you can skip through this video, get whatever you want with ease. So don't say I don't do anything for you. And also, we have a word from this video's sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Aniba, a marketplace where you can purchase all things gaming, but at reduced prices. We're talking games, gift cards, even in-game items, and every Destiny DLC is like 10 bucks or less here. There are literally thousands of titles across all platforms, and you can use my promo code or affiliate link down in the description and the comment to get yourself an extra discount at checkout too. And on that note, you can buy with confidence as every seller is reviewed, Aniba covers chargebacks, and Aniba has a 4.3 rating on Trustpilot too. But that's not all. We've got another big plus coming from Snacksy. Snacksy is a leading play to earn platform powered by Aniba, where you can play RPGs, puzzle games, strategy games, all to earn coins, and then you can turn those coins into gift cards for all your favorite places. If you want to check out Aniba or Snacksy, use the QR codes on screen, use the links in the description, and specifically for Snacksy, use code TOYDDESTINY to get a $10 sign-up bonus. There's a lot to love from the sponsors today, and again, thank you Aniba for helping out the channel. Now, to truly begin this video and the build breakdown, normally I like to start with the exotic armor or weapon or specific ability that we focus on with the build. In today's video, that focus is actually on the armor set bonus that we're using. The armor set that we run is the 7th Seraph armor. The first bonus reads, final blows with area of effect damage, solar abilities, 7 Seraph weapons, or eye close weapons grant Warmind charges. Each stack of Warmind charge increases your weapons and grenade stat. Now, taking a look at the way we get Warmind charges in game, the easiest way to do it is with weapons like a rocket pulse or a rocket sidearm. Any explosive weapon will give us charges when we get killed with it. But now looking at what we can actually do with the Warmind charges, other than the stat increases we get, we have the 4-piece bonus that reads, while you have Warmind charges, defeating powerful combatants, destroying a construct, or destroying a tangle releases a solar detonation that damages combatants and heals allies. So taking a look at that explosion, the two easiest ways that I found to spawn them are with stasis crystals and strand tangles. As you likely saw from the thumbnail and the colors on it, we are running the strand tangle side of things. So looking at that, whenever we throw a tangle, this is its default form, it explodes and deals 234 damage in a pretty big AoE. I'm sure you're familiar with what a strand tangle is. But then if we throw a tangle while we have stacks of Warmind charges, we will get this solar explosion to happen too, which also deals 219 damage. So it's like we're throwing 2 tangles at once. Also, this explosion does heal us and allies for like 30% of our HP, making tangle explosions a way to keep us alive. Now, on its own, this armor set is pretty good with strand builds, but we really want to saturate the playing field with as many tangles and Warmind explosions as possible. So to that end, we use the only exotic armor piece that literally duplicates tangles, and that is the Moirai chest piece. This chest piece reads, threaded spike can bounce to tangles, detonating them and returning immediately. Tangles detonated by threaded spike are rewoven and retrieved by it. Catches without a tangle refund extra melee energy. So taking a look at how this chest piece works, the main effect is duplicating tangles with our threaded spike. That is done simply by throwing our melee at a tangle and then catching it. As you can see, the explosion happens with the Warmind explosion too, and then we also get a tangle on our hands that we can use to set off another pair of explosions. Also, yes, it will bounce from enemy to tangle, so you don't necessarily need to aim at a tangle. And then as the last effect of this exotic, when throwing a threaded spike that doesn't catch a tangle, you get a ton of ability energy back with just 3 enemies, almost giving us our entire melee. But now, the next thing that we need to look at and how else we can improve our tangle damage and general build efficacy, that takes us directly to our subclass rather than an exotic weapon or the artifact or anything else you might imagine. So looking at the entire subclass setup going left to right, for our super, we only have one option, with that being Silk Strike. This super is actually very good, it deals pretty good damage, and it's a great answer for when you're in a pinch. After that, we have our class ability, which I opted for Gambler's Dodge, that way we can refund our melee or even more duplicated tangles. That melee option can only be Threaded Spike, but even then, this melee is still very good. It lowers enemy output, does good damage, and regenerates itself, and as a little did you know moment, did you know that when only on pure Strand, you can throw your melee and catch it, and it'll give you Woven Mail. I literally only learned that today over on my Twitch because I had some helpful viewers make this build. But then moving back into our subclass for our grenade, I found myself always using Grapple Grenade. It's just too fun to pass up. But moving on to our aspects, our first one is where our tangles get a lot more lethal. That's because we are using Whirling Maelstrom. This aspect reads, destroying a tangle will weave a violent, writhing mass of strand fibers. The strand mass seeks out and damages targets, emitting unraveling projectiles when it defeats them. Looking at this in game, literally every tangle we explode or throw is going to become a Whirling Maelstrom. And this Beyblade does a lot of damage and is a massive bonus to our ad clear capabilities. And when you can get as many tangles as we can, it ends up being quite potent. Looking at our next aspect though, we have Ensnaring Slam. This aspect says that we can use our air move to consume our dodge and then slam down to the ground and suspend everything around us when we do so. It also says that suspending enemies with this ability will give us Woven Mail. In game, this ability just works as it's stated. We press our air move to slam to the ground and then anything nearby gets suspended. And for each enemy suspended, we get 4 seconds of Woven Mail, up to 20 seconds if you ensnare a lot of them. And if you don't know, Woven Mail is a 40% damage resist. But now moving on to our fragments, we start with Thread of Mind, where defeating suspended targets grants class ability energy. Our class ability suspends targets, so this is a nice feedback loop there. Next, we have Thread of Warding, which will give us Woven Mail on orb pickup. This is just a nice bit of survivability as we run around and pick up orbs. Then we have Thread of Generation, which just gives us grenade energy on any damage. Very nice to have our grapple up a lot of the time. And lastly, we have Thread of Fury, where damaging targets with a tangle will give us melee energy, and Whirling Maelstrom ticks do count for this. The next thing that we need to talk about is the weapons that you want to use with this build. And as I was talking about with the armor set bonus, you want to be using explosive weapons. Specifically, rocket pulses because they're just best in slot, and specifically, hopefully, Mint Retrograde, as that is a Strand rocket pulse rifle that has some synergies within the artifact on our armor. Outside of that one rocket pulse, using any other rocket pulse will do you just fine, and I was actually using 2 because it just works so well. And then for boss damage, I was using the heavy sniper, the A499, because it's simply like the best damage option in the game. But as you'll notice, we aren't running an exotic at all. And that is up for you to decide. If you want to run an exotic, you totally can, but I don't. However, that is not a restriction. You can really run whatever you want. Just remember that ultimately you do want explosive damage. That way, all your tangles are always healing you and doing more damage. But now to look at some of these synergies that I just mentioned, we have our artifact. And the chosen one today is the Implement of Curiosity. So looking at how we build that, going left to right, the first one we use is Horde Shuttle. This says that damaging rival targets with a weapon occasionally spawns a threadling, and that threadlings will sever targets that they damage. Then we have Refresh Threads, which says picking up an elemental pickup, matching your subclass element, or picking up a tangle while you have a strand super equipped, grants energy to your release charged ability. Then after that is Threaded Blast, where it says destroying a tangle with strand damage increases the radius of the explosion and its damage. This is very good for this build, as we often destroy tangles with our Threaded Spike, which is strand damage. Then we have Cauterized Darkness, which causes strand or stasis debuffed non-boss combatants to take increased solar damage from all sources. It doesn't really affect us all that much unless you're using the Solar Rocket Pulse or a solar weapon. Then we have Energy Acceleration that says sustained damage with micro missiles causes the combatant to emit a kinetic shockwave that damages nearby combatants that will also stun unstops. This is pretty good for all the rocket pulses. And then into our last two, we have Elemental Overdrive that says picking up an elemental pickup or tangle grants increased damage to weapons of the same element. This will just cause our strand weapons to do more damage pretty much all the time. And then lastly, Tangled Web that says creating a tangle by defeating a strand debuff target suspends nearby combatants. This is very nice, as you will just have a lot more suspend around the field other than just your Ensnaring Slam. Now, the next thing to discuss is our armor aside from our armor set bonuses. First, looking at our stats, the main thing we're focusing on is the weapon stat, as we want to be able to spam our rocket pulses without having to worry about their ammo counts at all. This stat also increases our outgoing damage versus rank and file enemies, and then against bosses if you go over 100. After that stat though, we do need to have high melee and class so that we can have the maximum regeneration of those two abilities. We really don't want to get caught out without them. Also, as a little interlude, I didn't know exactly where to put this, but for how to get the armor that we're talking about today, that being the 7th Seraph armor, just do the Master Lost Sector on the Cosmodrome. That will give you a couple armor drops at the end of it. It's not too hard, it doesn't take a long time, and you should get your ideal armor set pretty quickly that way. But now, finishing armor, we also have our armor mods. On the helmet, we have a special ammo finder, a special ammo scout, and a strand siphon so that we get more ammo for our rocket pulse and our rocket pulse mix orbs of power. Our arms get one heavy-handed, so our grapple grenade and our threaded spike will make orbs when we get kills with it, and then a focusing strike, so melee damage from either ability refunds a bit of our class ability, and then an impact induction, so melee damage refunds a bit of our grenade. Our chest piece is always just reserved for resist mods. Then our legs get a better already, so we start regenerating health whenever we pick up an orb. Then an absolution, so orb pickups give us a small chunk of all of our abilities. And then lastly, a strand scavenger, so that our rocket pulse has an easier time with ammo. And then lastly, our class item has a special finisher for ammo on demand, a powerful attraction, so we pick up orbs whenever we dodge or use ensnaring slam, and then a proximity ward, so that we can do finishers in safety with a massive overshield. But now for the gameplay loop, the first thing we want to do is usually get a couple kills with our rocket pulse rifle. This is when there's just a few ads or some ads that are far away from the main group that you're about to fight. These kills will give us Warmind charges, which will then take into the bread and butter of this build, which that starts by usually grappling into some enemies or running towards them and then using our ensnaring slam. This will give us woven mail and suspended enemies. We then want to kill one of those enemies with whatever weapon we have. That will cause them to spawn a tangle as their strand debuffed, and we will then use our melee on that tangle. It will detonate into a whirling maelstrom, and Moirai will duplicate it and bring it back to us. Remember though, that you do have to catch your melee. We can then throw this second tangle at the same enemies to ensure that they die, or throw it elsewhere to begin clearing the next group. The suspended enemy kills will refund our dodge, and it's on a short enough cooldown that we should have it back very quickly. The woven mail that we got will be keeping us alive, and the explosions that we get from each tangle will be healing us and doing a lot of damage thanks to our armor set. The tangle kills also give us more Warmind charges as they are area of effect damage, meaning we really don't need to think about it after the engine is started. At this point, we just repeat what we just did. Slam to suspend to get woven mail, spawn a tangle by getting a kill, and then throw our melee at that tangle to duplicate whirling maelstroms. There will be a lot of bonus effects, whether that's threadling spawning or enemies getting suspended by tangle creation, but we don't really need to focus on that stuff. Other than that, remember that thanks to the high weapon stat that we hopefully have, you can just spam your weapons, and then when you do your super, you can also use that. And specifically, while you're in super, remember that you can still ensnaring slam, which is really good if you're fighting against something like a champion and you don't have your weapons out. But with that, thank you for getting this far into the video. Your viewership means an absolute ton to me. Remember that I'm trying to hit 50k subs eventually. And also do recall that there is a dim link down in the description. That way you can grab this build for yourself. Now, if you want to support me, support the channel, a like, a comment, a subscription, joining my Discord, coming over to my Twitch and saying hi to me there. All of that helps out a ton. If you're on mobile, figuring out how to hype the video, it's really good for me. But if you want to support me and support the channel, but you can't think of a comment down below, Warmind sells. And with that, as usual, I hope you are having a great day, and I hope to see you around.